Welcome along. So, Humankind's tech tree obviously has some pretty fundamental technologies buried at the start, right? You have calendar here, which allows you to extract luxury resources. You have domestication, which allows you to harness those sweet, sweet horses. Carpentry gives you archers, city defense gives you warriors, right? We know this. That's all fine and good, and we're absolutely unlocking those technologies, obviously. However, in this video, I want to show you 10 technologies that don't quite fit necessarily that mold. These are technologies that you may want to jump forward to get because they unlock specific gameplay features that you otherwise just simply can't use. Let's jump straight in, and in no particular order. The first one I want to show you, because this is a really great example of what the rest of this video will tell, is here. Trade expeditions. Very early in the classical era, you can unlock this. What does it give you? Well, the game tells you it gives you levy administration. It's an infrastructure upgrade for cities, +3 money on the main plaza, nothing huge. And the transport galley, transport ship that you can load your units onto and transport them through coastal tiles only. What it doesn't tell you, though, is that trade expeditions allows you to embark your units. That's right, you can literally just walk your units into the ocean and sail them. They'll still suffer penalties from being in deep ocean water, but so long as you're bouncing through coastal tiles at least once every 2 turns, you'll be okay. The fundamental thing here is, the game doesn't tell you can do it, but this is how you embark your units. So do get trade expeditions if you're looking to maybe try your chances at finding the new world, or at least bouncing around a few coastal tiles. You know when you've got one unit and it's ready to fight an army of enemies, but your reinforcements just couldn't quite make it in time to join the battle? Well, the fundamental technology to allow you to reinforce is of course buried right the way back at the start of the game, way back in the very first era. In fact, here it is. It's organized warfare. This one does tell you up front, use reinforcements. This little purple icon here with the 2 swords is the fundamental part. Allows your armies to be added as reinforcements to existing battles. This is a technology that I usually beeline for in the early game, particularly if you're exploring the map, right? You're roaming around, you've got your scouts exploring out in all kinds of different directions on auto-explore, right? They're running off crazy different ways. It's really important that you have organized warfare so that you can reinforce your units. That if this one enters a fight, this one can come over in the next round and join straight into that fight. It won't be completely blocked off. So don't forget about getting organized warfare if you want any hope of being able to reinforce your armies. Particularly important, of course, in the early exploration phases of the game. As you make your way through into the industrial era, the second last era of the game, you may be less familiar with some of the technologies here. This one in particular, mechanization. While it doesn't sound particularly sexy, I'd like to bring it to your attention nonetheless. Mechanization modifies the cost of all industrial units by 10%, a nice reduction. But what you actually want it for is your infrastructural upgrades that it unlocks. There are 3 key ones here that you probably just haven't even looked at because you're too busy beelining for important units or whatever. Have a look. Industrial silos, +2 food per farmers, and an additional slot. Look here, the sawmill. This is the equivalent but for industry, +2 industry, but this time it's on tiles producing industry. What? It also provides the factory, which is +2 industry per workers and +3 workers slots. Now, all of these infrastructural upgrades will contribute towards pollution. You can see that here on their tooltips. But think about just how powerful this is, right? Sawmill, +2 industry on tiles producing industry. Let's head into Scotstraya, shout out to you, and have a look at these yields. Have a look at these yields, particularly if I turn tile yields on. You can have a look here at a range of different tiles that are providing me with industry. Even just these basic tiles that at the moment are providing somewhere in the region of +2 to +4 will be buffed. Of course, this is most impactful in cities where you have a lot of industrial quarters. Have a look over here at Kerma, right? Have a look at these industrial precincts. All of them will be buffed, as well as all of these other tiles that have industry. Very, very powerful infrastructural upgrades that are unlocked through mechanization. Don't sleep on those. Next, I'm going to bounce us right back to the ancient era for writing. Any 4X strategy gaming player knows that writing is usually fundamentally important. In Humankind, it doesn't unlock the research district, which many 4X players may attribute research and science with writing. However, it does provide this infrastructural upgrade, which gives you +1 science per researchers and 2 additional researcher slot in every city where you build it. But what's more important, arguably, about writing isn't even the fact that it unlocks the market quarter, which is another great quarter providing you with gold. I argue actually it's this oft forgotten effect, laws. This is a one-time bonus. As soon as you research writing, you get laws, which reduces the influence cost of all future civics by 20%. Very powerful, and when you bundle that with unlocking the market quarter, the key for making money, and a couple of really nice infrastructural upgrades, you're left with another technology alongside organized warfare that I would highly recommend you prioritize in the ancient era. Writing also has a counterpart. Think of this as writing 2.0. If I use the search bar here to jump all the way forward to the industrial era, indeed just at the start though, you find Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia provides precedents, these legal precedents building on the laws which we created back with writing. Now you receive an additional 20% discount to enacting and cancelling future civics. Very, very powerful indeed, and much like writing earlier, we received the Academy infrastructural upgrade to cities, providing 2 science on research quarters per adjacent one, and a flat-out +4 science on research quarters. This is a mega upgrade. One other thing to note, this is also where Labour Charter comes into force, so you can no longer use population to complete constructions. Just in case you didn't know, Encyclopedia also does that, as we become slightly more civilized, perhaps, in the industrialized era. I'm going to bounce you back in the technology tree now and cast you back to a distant time in the medieval era. Here we have feudalism. This is so strong. Okay, it's unlocked quite early in the game. You can see we're just at the start of the medieval era, and what does it deliver? Well, it does upgrade the basic biatches inside of your cities to peasants, which is nice, but more importantly, it does 2 things. Firstly, +1 food on tiles producing food. Remember before when we were panning over the map and looking at the tile yields? Well, crop rotation is a really early way to give you a whole load of extra food. But crucially also you get this, colony model. Now there are various technologies like this throughout the tech tree. This is the first and most significant one because what it does is basically whenever you create a new city, it will start with the infrastructural upgrades from previous eras. A base set of infrastructural upgrades to buff your yields, provide extra workers slots, so on and so forth, and you'll also start with 3 population. This is a great way to fuel your new world expansion with instant cities that have higher yields thanks to having those infrastructures pre-built. Notice this little fame icon here above the salt? Well, there's a reason why it's there. It's because I have the salt manufactory in place. This, if you haven't seen my video on why trade is so important, is fundamentally key to really upping your yields and resources across the empire through trade. When you have majority of a luxury resource in Humankind, you can build a manufactory on top of it. This is an upgrade from the initial artisan's quarter extractor that you simply use to get the resource. The manufactory provides the owner of majority of the resources with an even more powerful benefit. You may note that when you hover over a luxury, right here you can see salt. At the moment, its effect is +20 food and +16 stability on all cities. If I control the Wondrous effect, which I do, thanks to having the manufactory and majority of salt on the map, I receive +20% food. That's a multiplier. Much more powerful, and +40 stability. That is the power, and how do you unlock that incredible power? How do you get the manufacturing facility that you need? It's through this technology, Patronage. Back here in the early modern era, I recommend when you get here you beeline for it. You can see, in fact, in this playthrough, I skipped a whole load of technologies here and just beelined through the middle, focusing on this from Patronage. The luxury manufactory, +50 fame on the constructible resource itself, and +3 money per adjacent market quarters, so building market quarters around it becomes even more powerful. But crucially, you get that sweet, Wondrous effect from the resources that you control. You also receive a couple of infrastructural upgrades. The Inventor's Workshop may be of particular interest to you here in the early modern era. Next up, I'm going to take you to the final era in the game, the contemporary era, where we have 3 key technologies that you probably want to harness. Firstly, you want nuclear fission. Now, the precursor is nuclear enrichment, where you get access to uranium, which is great, but nuclear fission is really where the magic happens, okay? Not because of the nuclear power plant, not because of the nuclear submarine, no, not interested, because of this, nuclear doctrine. This unlocks the nuclear weapons civic and ultimately enables you to build nukes. Yes, you need the uranium first, but without this, you can't do anything. Here's the civic that it unlocks. It's in the military arm right the way up the top here. It's nuclear weapons. Let me cancel what I've done just to show you it exactly. So, you can choose either nuclear disarmament, which will give you a grievance against empires that conduct nuclear tests or detonate bombs. This is you saying no to nukes, or, like most of us, you'll choose nuclear proliferation on the right-hand side. This will unlock the fission test, one of the first nuclear tests, which basically work like wonders. Your cities build them, you test the nukes, and then you can build nukes. Of course, enacting nuclear proliferation is the only choice to get nuclear weapons. So not only do you need those technologies, but you need the civic as well. Very, very important. But actually, folks, it ain't rocket science. This will do 2 crucial things for your game, not just to do with nukes, but we should cover nukes off first. It'll give you the missile silo. This is the district that you need to launch nuclear weapons from. So it's crucial for that reason. However, it's also important for building the space station. This is fundamental if you want to get to Mars and end the game through that win condition. That sort of combined science and productive win condition of making it to Mars. You do, of course, need the space station first. Then you can jump through to your satellites and get the final satellite testing that you need to reveal the map as well. So there's some key benefits here buried within rocket science, but crucially, that missile silo, very important. And last but not least, I'd like to turn your attention to these guys right here, these units. Have a look at their combat strength. At the minute, they are fighting at a whopping 71% combat strength, and these are not even a late game unit. And they've got 61 strength. It's very, very good, right? But you can get even better. And my final technology here is a technology that you can use across the board, whether you're attacking or defending, and you can jump to it without completing a lot of the final TECHS, because the precursors to it are few and far between. In fact, once you make it to here, the contemporary era, all you need to do is get continuous track, which you're going to want for your medium tanks, bounce across all of these to composite armor, which gets you even better tanks, but finally, all the way, bounce right here at the end, Exosuit. Have a look at this. Not only does Exosuit give you that nice fame boost that a lot of these final technologies give, but it gives a key bonus here, the actual Exosuit upgrade. But you don't need to build this. You don't need to build specific units for it. It simply applies to all of your sort of human units, right? So it doesn't apply to, say, horses or tanks, but it does apply to your dudes. And what does it give them? +8. Not +1. Not +4, +8 combat strength and +4 movement on all of your land units. That's your spec ops units, potentially, if you've unlocked covert ops. These commandos will be buffed. But of course, all of your pre-existing units as well. You saw back there, my freaking industrial area unit was able to wear the exosuit, giving it insane land movement and combat strength. This is very useful for running across vast empires and providing bonuses to your pre-existing older military units to help keep up with your opponents if they happen to be ahead of you, or to snowball over them if you can beeline to this technology in the end game. And I think that that is a really important final takeaway to end this video on today. I do hope that you enjoyed this look through at my 10 most impactful technologies in Humankind. If you did, I would really appreciate a like rating on this video. I hate to ask, but please, if you wouldn't mind dropping one, I would really appreciate it. And until next time, everybody, I will see you then. Take care and bye-bye.